Okay, so Hell in a Cell in the books, ironically, a pretty decent pay-per-view, all things considered. Okay, so we'll go through the match real quick. Christian Sheamus. Of course, Sheamus came out victorious in this because it made sense. You know, he's the bigger, stronger guy. It would make lots of sense, and he, of course, would go over. And Christian hasn't really done a whole lot recently in pay-per-view. Then the Sin Caras fought each other. So number 2 beat number 1. However you want to look at that. While watching these matches and hearing the commentary, it's like Sin Cara with agreement to Sin Cara 2. Yeah. It's one of those things like it felt like it should have been going somewhere, and at the end of the day, it actually went absolutely nowhere. Okay, Kingston and Bourne versus Ziggler and Swagger. You know, a little bit of miscommunication between Ziggler and Swagger, and of course, Air Boom retains their tag belts. Mark Henry versus Randy Orton. Now, the way this match actually came out, I really definitely did want to see Mark Henry retain. Yes, I was one of the people who was a Mark Henry detractor. Period. He's actually really turned it on so far this year. I want to see him hold that belt for quite some time. And he put on a very impressive match against Randy Orton. And of course, it ends with him taking an RKO, getting back up. And while in the process of getting up, Orton runs at him. Henry kind of like jumps up, grabs him, and hits a World's Strongest Slam literally out of nowhere. Very impressive for a man of his size. Henry retains. Cody Rhodes then took on John Morrison. I have a feeling this match would have had build-up. It probably could have actually been really solid. Instead, it just kind of felt like it was just thrown together as like filler. And of course, Cody Rhodes retained. Kelly versus Beth Phoenix, with Eve on the outside, Natalya on the outside. A little bit of interference by Natalya, and now finally, Beth Phoenix, through a dirty victory, beats Kelly. So now we get down to the main event. The triple threat Cena Del Rio Punk match. Now, if you've seen most of the main events recently, you know there have been a ton of run-ins. These main events are being TNA booked. And this one was pretty much no exception. All three are doing their fairly decent spots on the inside. Cena gets tossed through the door and then locked outside of the Hell in a Cell, which then leaves Punk and Del Rio essentially to finish the match off. So how does this match actually end? It ends, of course, with Del Rio getting the pin on CM Punk and becoming the new champion. And then two guys in hoodies show up. Those guys being Miz and Morrison, being Miz and Truth. Miz and Truth then begin to beat down essentially all three people when the cage gets re-lowered. And then you have Laurinaitis and Triple H and security coming down, breaking into the ring, and arresting Miz and Truth and escorting them out of the building. So, to do a quick recap, no titles changed hands with the exception of the Divas belt. It's now in Beth Phoenix's waist. And ironically, Del Rio is the champion again. It does kind of make sense because they are going to go on a Mexico tour. But it just seems really kind of out of the blue to have John Cena win it, and then 2 weeks later get back to Del Rio, knowing that by the time Vengeance rolls around, it'll probably go back to Cena. And that was Hell in a Cell.